I'm going to give you my 5 best pieces of advice I've learned on my trajectory to starting my farm after 50 years old. And if farming later in life piques your interest even just a little bit, we're going to get into some of those details, and I'm going to give you some advice, some of my thoughts on it as I proceed in that direction. Well, I was over 50 when I considered walking away from almost everything I was used to doing to start something new, a farm. No longer just a vegetable garden for the wife and I, or just a weekend project, and no longer just a daydream that I've had for years. So I took the leap and I started. It's a full-fledged livestock operation where I fully intend to also make some money. Moms are yelling at them. The babies are playing. What is it, buddy? Is happy? If you've ever felt a tug to just start over, or start something new, or start a farm, even when others are probably thinking or maybe even saying out loud it's a little too late for you to do that, well, then this video is going to be for you. I want to share a little bit of my story of starting my livestock farm after 50 and give you a little taste of what I learned along the way. For those out there that are just looking for a second act, or maybe inspired for a third or fourth act for that matter. I hope it can help you or inspire you. It'd be great if it did both. We'll get into it. Now, most of my life, as you can see, looked nothing like this. I was privileged to spend the past few decades working with our nation's warriors all over the world, worked a schedule somebody else made for me, mostly in places I didn't choose to go. But I served with some great people in some great places, and also in some war zones I wouldn't wish on anyone. Proud to have done so, but always knew I was going to do something else eventually. Well, I guess I've always dreamed of land and working that land, having animals and having those animals help me work the land. Ever since I was a boy, really. I would read books about people that had land and doing projects and raising animals, and I would draw barns and bridges and ponds and lakes. And as I got older, of course, I shared that dream with my father, who subsequently has passed, and never really lived out that dream with him. But that dream starts to feel a sense of urgency, and after a lifelong pursuit of just earning and working and providing for my family, we're just blessed enough to finally have a little slice of land and the opportunity and resources to get a few animals on that land. And so I'm very grateful for that and all that comes from it. I didn't jump in blind, but I didn't have all the answers either. I researched a lot. I watched a lot of YouTube. I read a lot of books. I still reference those books. I talked to some farmers. I went to seminars, both in person and virtual. I looked up zoning laws. I went to my extension office. I started small. I bought a little bit of land that needed a lot of work. It still needs a lot of work. And I learned as I went. I'm learning as I go still. I started with just a few animals, and I started with sheep. Manageable, smart, great for pasture management. I learned fencing, both permanent and temporary, putting it up, taking it down. Lambing. I went through several iterations of lambing, several seasons of lambing, from just a handful of lambs to now a couple dozen. Rotational grazing in all of its iterations in all the seasons. First big snow of the year. And somehow he's not jumped this fence. I don't know how. Because it is down. And whoa! It's the charger. Oh geez, he's already over. I can't even turn it off. Okay. The ram found the shelter. Somebody else did. It's cleaned up. Rap's doing alright. Predator protection. Some that went well, some that went not so well. Sometimes just learning the hard way. And you're probably going to do a lot of that. I'm still doing a lot of that. Bottom line is I started before I was ready. And I'm still learning. I would encourage you to start before you think you're ready. Or you might just run out of time. And people think farming is peaceful. And they should, because a lot of it is. But it's often hard work, cold fingers, very early mornings, broken everything, broken gates, broken anything with an engine. Seems like it's just dying to be broken. Sick animals, hurt animals, dead animals if you have livestock. the old saying is true. You're definitely going to have dead stock, and come to grips with that. No matter what you do, they're just going to find a way to die somehow. But almost 100% of that, both good and the bad, the peaceful and the crazy, is very satisfying when this is what your goal is. So, because you're learning the whole way, none of it is less than free. You're learning every part of it, good and the bad, and that makes it satisfying because you're getting better at what you started. I haven't had it for a lifetime. I haven't done it since I was a child. So every single thing I do, it seems like I can find a lesson in it to do it better next time. And that's what makes it satisfying to me. I'm going to give you my 5 best pieces of advice I've learned on my trajectory to starting my farm after 50 years old. So number 1 piece of advice, I would say, my number 1 thought on this thing is just like any second career, launching a farm after 50 is very viable, often deeply fulfilling even, which a lot of jobs we know are not. Many people already own or have access to underutilized land or have experience just with hard work in general, and farming can be a perfect next act for the folks that experience that. I've read a lot of Joel Salatin's books, as maybe some of you have, and I agree with most of what he shares. But when he said that 50 was too old to start farming, I really took exception to that. It threw me back a bit. I couldn't disagree more. I simply believe he's dead wrong on this issue. Maybe not many others, but certainly this one. Changing careers at 50 plus is not only possible, but very common. 40% of people that report second careers say they did so after 55, actually. So age doesn't disqualify you from farming. It actually, I think, equips you. Leverage your life's wisdom and your physical energy while you still have both of them to do so. Starting a farm after 50 is very realistic and increasingly popular, I think. Use your life experience to avoid some of those rookie mistakes, those rushes to judgment. Embrace your maturity as an asset, just like with any other big life change, both in decision making, your patience, and your ability to plan things out and think things through a little more maturely. I think it's never too late to start farming. Number 2, success at any age depends on grit. I firmly believe that. Grit is essential to farming. Grit, what I mean by grit is persistence, patience, humility, faith, determination. Farming demands all these things. Patience, because progress takes a lot of time in farming. You just have to acknowledge that up front. Give yourself that grace as you grow and learn something that may be perfectly new to you. Humility, accept that you're starting at the bottom again. Very likely you're not going to be the expert in these different things. And you're going to get your hands dirty. Maybe you haven't in a while, but you will in farming for sure. Cleaning barns, scooping whatever, and fixing fence lines. You're going to get dirty doing this job. I often wonder when I'm touching things and picking up things, is that mud or manure or what is that? Sometimes you just don't know. So you'll have to have some humility for sure. Have faith in yourself and your plan that your efforts are going to pay off. You got to believe in yourself, but you need to have faith over seasons, not just weeks. This isn't going to happen in weeks, folks. So you need to have faith in yourself and your planning. You need to have grit to farm. Persistence, patience, humility, and faith. Animals die, crops fail, fences break, heck, everything breaks. I've talked about that before. But if you persist, you learn from those setbacks. There'll be far more satisfying experiences for you, and trust your long-term plan. With some flexibility, you may make some adjustments, but you'll build a sustainable operation if you see it as a process to learn. Number 3. My third piece of advice is you should start small. Likely start smaller than you even want to. So think small and then start a little smaller than that. You need to begin and iterate with just a few animals or a few processes, a few small plots of land, whatever you're planning on farming. I did that for over 4 years, almost 5. 4 full season changes, now moving into my 5th season, which is what teaches you all about this whole iteration. 4 lambing cycles and so on. A full-time living at this takes time to get good at it. So plan for ways to supplement your income along that journey. If you got a good paying job, there's no reason to leave it right away. Except you might not be fully profitable right away is the key to long-term success here. I've discussed many times, my goal is actually to make my first profitable dollar after 2 years of deciding this is what I want to do as a profitable enterprise. And so that's the trajectory I'm on. And going into this knowing it might take some time. I think if once you talk to a few people, you realize this typically takes years, not months, not weeks. So bootstrap smartly, get used equipment, small herds, keep your overhead lean, and that'll make your growth much more manageable along the way. So number 3, start small and adapt from there. My 4th piece of advice, I would say make a transition plan. You need to be researching, educate yourself very strategically about what you're trying to accomplish, just like any other job would necessitate, right? Farming is not free of education. Contrary to popular belief, it's not a simple process. It's a very complex set of circumstances you're dealing with. You need to research livestock types that you want to get involved in. What are the markets you're going to take them to? What kind of fencing do they require? All the equipment that comes with it, and it's far more extensive than I give it credit for sure. So it may be for you as well. The legal requirements for having livestock in your area. How much livestock can you have per acre? Your county's probably set standards for that. Your financial plan, especially if you're transitioning from a desk job, and prepare a timeline that lets you gradually scale, like we talked about earlier, starting small, gradually scale without burning out yourself with the effort that it takes, but also the resources you have. You don't want to run out of money before you start making money. I would say before diving in, you need to research more than you think you should. Research. Read a lot of books, watch a lot of videos, go visit farms, go to some extension office held conferences. There's industry conferences all over the country, no matter what you're trying to get into. So reach out, look on Facebook. There's lots of groups out there you can get involved in. People advertise those conferences on there. Do you need licensing? You might be able to find some local farm mentors you can get involved with, and find who you would perceive to be top performers where you'd like to be and ask them to help mentor you. Chances are they want to talk about what they're doing. I've certainly found that the case. I don't think anybody's turned me away when I've said, hey, can I spend a few minutes with you? Even when I bought livestock and such, they've been happy and generous with their time to talk about what they do. Not a lot of people ask them that, to be honest. So farming is no different than any other career. You got to take some steps in preparation. And I think, though, that networking is vital, just like with any other career. You need to be talking to people that do it. They'll help you get where you want to be. Prepare your body. It's not all about your mind either. You're going to use muscles you forgot you had, I promise you. You're going to start using muscles maybe you knew you had, but you haven't used in a minute, unless you're doing a physical job already. Farming can be very physical. Not extraordinarily if you got the right equipment, if you go into it gradually and start small. And that's what I've learned for sure, is slowly getting and being able to afford the equipment to help me manage the physical aspects of this job. So prepare your body. And as for help with planning, I've mentioned this before, but if you want a good farm-focused business plan template, there's a free one down in the description below. You can just click on that link and I'll shoot you a free business template plan in an email that'll ultimately get you thinking and take you to a university website where they have a structured business plan that'll really force you to think through this whole process much more thoroughly than just jumping in blind. So don't do that. Plan it out. And if you want some help, hit that link below. Have faith in your vision is number 5. My fifth piece of advice is just have faith. It goes back to one aspect of grit, but stands alone as its own piece of advice. You need to have faith in your vision. And so don't do what most people do, which is quit the first year. Ignore those age-based doubts. Have faith in that too. You're not too old to do this. It requires a long view mindset, but you have plenty of time. Multiple seasons for sure. You need to be thinking down the road. And I would say the reason you have so much faith in what you're going to do is because you planned it out. You've done all the pieces of advice I've already shared with you, and you have a reason to have faith. So it's not a blind faith. It's a calculated belief that your knowledge, your planning, your persistence have built up this sustainable, meaningful path. So that one piece of bonus advice I would give you is start before you're ready. Now, I'm not saying be fearless. It's not about being completely poop your pants scared, right? It's about getting started anyway, wherever you are. Don't go in there guns a-blazing, but don't overplan either. Sometimes you just need to jump in. Farm exactly where you are with what you have. Start in your backyard. Why can't you start there? Start on your patio. Start on a single acre. Get 2 sheep instead of 10.
But sometimes we just need to punch fear in the face and start. But I would encourage you to do it before you think you're ready. Trust me. Don't be afraid to start a little messy, start a little scrappy. You don't have to be, like I said, scared to move. But most everyone that started did so before they were perfectly ready. I promise you, I certainly did. You just need to take that first step, get some momentum going, and feel like you're part of the process. It'll be inspiring to you, it'll be encouraging. I would encourage you to do that. There's definitely going to be mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes. I continue to make lots of mistakes. Hopefully I'm making less than I started with. You may even have to take a step back or two. Maybe you got the wrong breed of sheep when you first started, and now we need to take a step back or two. But last piece of advice right there, I think it's a great one, and that's start before you're absolutely ready.
So that's about it, folks. You've seen where I've come from and where I'm headed. And this farm has given me a sense of purpose I didn't even know I was missing, to be honest. The work is hard. It's hard every day, but the reward is deep. I started this to grow some food for my family, and I definitely grew myself as well. I'm not just older now. I think I'm better, more grounded, more present, and more alive. If you ever thought it was too late to start something big for yourself, I want you to know I don't think that it is. You're not too old. You're not too far behind. You're probably right on time. And I wish you all the best of luck. If this video encouraged you at all, give me a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe, leave me a comment, tell me your story. I'd love to hear it. I'll see you soon.